Hey everybody, and welcome back to the IzzyVerse. Today's show is going to be a really great show. I'm looking forward to having my guest and talking a little bit about his craft and what he's been up to. So we're going to go into our house cleaning rules for the day before we get started. And I just want to let everybody know that coming this Monday, I'm going to have my interview with comic book artist and writer and whatever else he is, football thrower and Comic-Con football player. Ken Newston, our interview is happening this Monday, so I'm looking forward to having this conversation, catching up on a couple of things that we cut off on, and it's always fun talking to Ken, so I can't wait for that one. Also, for those of you who are looking forward to it, as promised, there will be a spoiler review for the Batman movie. I've been waiting for this one for quite some time, seeing how different it is and what to expect. Did I like it? Did I not like it? It's a Batman movie, so it's got to be good in some way, right? We've gotten the worst that we've gotten, so hopefully this is going to be a really good show, good movie. I'm looking forward to seeing it next week, and I will talk to you all about it. Also, coming next week is the Bronx Comic Book Show happening March 5th. I will be present. The best part, it's free. It's free admission. Starts at 11 o'clock. It's from 11 to 5 p.m. There's going to be comic book vendors, there's Funko Pops, Pokemon, cards, TV movies, comic book artists, and most importantly, a cosplay contest. So you could sign up for it right now if you just go to the website and sign up to be part of the cosplay contest. So that's going to be fun as well. Over in the wrestling side of things, we're going to have on March 6th after the show, we're going to have the AEW Revolution reactions, results, and review. I've been waiting for an AEW pay-per-view to happen, and it's finally time that it's going to happen. So we're going to be reviewing all of the matches, talking about everything that happened before, after, and whatever what we think about it and what's to expect. So that should be a fun one. And as you know, I want to always plug my comic book. So if you get a chance to check out the comic book pull list, the new one just came out this morning. You should be able to see it and see what new books came out, like Ghost Rider, Aquaman, and other books that are out there that just came out today. And also, if you need a comic book shop, just go to Squiggy's Dugout. Squiggy's Dugout is found in New Rochelle, New York. Just talk to Peter. He's the guy that's running the place. Say hi, tell him Izzy sent you. And right now, if you act for this month, there's going to be a great comic book sale with back issues for just $1, independent titles for $1, collector sets for 50% off, and graphic novels for a BOGO 50% off. So tell them Izzy said hi and go get your books there. And if you don't have a comic book shop, this is the comic book shop you could go to. It's a really good place. It is by far a great comic book place. So one last thing I want to share with everybody in today's stream is that I am going to be giving away free stickers. I know everybody loves stickers. So today I will be giving away free stickers for anyone who leaves a comment in the YouTube channel. It has to be YouTube. So you need to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, and leave a comment. And you will get yourself a free IzzyVerse sticker. I have plenty to give away. I want to give them away. So go ahead and in the chat, just say hi, whatever it takes. I'm taking anyone that puts anything in the YouTube chat. So you have to subscribe to the YouTube channel and you have to leave a comment. So without further ado, let me introduce to everyone my guest for today, this evening. His name is Richard Cintron. He is a cosplayer slash prop designer. So he started off in cosplay and then he moved his way to being a prop designer. We're going to be talking to him right now. So Richard, welcome to the IzzyVerse. How you doing, man?
Doing good. It's glad to be here.
All right. So Richard, talk to me a little bit about how this all got started. We're going to be looking at some of your props. I see a few of them in the background already, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. But how did this whole thing started?
Oh, geez. We got to start at the origin story, of course.
Yeah, obviously, issue 0 has begun.
Yeah, issue 0. So it started when I was 8 years old. That's when I first started making things. But ever since I was a kid, I was always fascinated by the 3D world. Whenever I watched a movie or read a comic, I was more focused on the costumes and the weapons and the gadgets that the characters were using, more than the characters. Like, I love Iron Man, but that suit, that's why I'm watching it. You know what I mean? So ever since I was a kid, I was just cutting things out of paper. My mom would like give me old cardboard boxes, shoe boxes, cereal boxes, and I would just cut them up, duct tape them to my body, and walk around and pretend to be Iron Man. But of course, once I started figuring out like actually how to use different origami strategies and what actually spray paint was, when I was 8, I made a full suit. It looked like it kind of looked like a Roblox Minecraft person, but I thought it was the best thing on earth. And I remember standing in my mom's living room going, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to make crazy props. I want to make costumes. And I was 8. I think I wore Crocs also while I was like had the suit on. So I was styling.
Props. So you just coined the frame props with Crocs.
Props with Crocs. It's a real thing.
There you go.
Yeah,
Hashtag props with Crocs.
Absolutely. And I remember standing there just going like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to make this stuff, but I had no idea how. And that started my journey. And I never went to an art school. I didn't grow up with a ton of money, so any supplies, any crazy tools that I saw on YouTube that other prop designers are using, I had to save up for, make myself. So I'm a full believer in self-taught artists. Everything I'd done, no one taught me how to do. All that I learned was from maybe some internet posts, going on YouTube, and some guy being like, "This is how you lay down paint correctly." And even today, I still like Google stuff. I'm a student of the craft, and I can't wait to share with you all the ups and downs and the experiences I've went through in this crazy prop design cosplay journey.
So again, let's first explain a little bit about cosplay for those that don't know what it means, who's watching this either this live stream or the video. Explain to me what does the term cosplay mean? Because obviously it's, it's for us older folks like myself, Halloween costumes, or just putting on a costume, right? But now it's become a thing. Now they coined the frame, the saying cosplay. So tell me what your understanding of cosplay is, what you know about it, and pretty much how it just continues to grow into what it is today.
Cosplay is probably one of the greatest things that the comic book community created. I mean, and forget comics, there's like the nerd community. I want to say, like, it is a chance. It's like Halloween all year round.
Mhm.
Basically, it doesn't matter what your skill is. It doesn't matter what you could make or how good it is. It's just dressing up or portraying the characters that you loved when you were a kid. If you're a big X-Men fan, you put on Wolverine's claws, you're cosplaying. And you go to conventions, you meet people. The best way I describe it and how I describe it to family members, it's just like Halloween, but like expensive. And like and depending where you go, like what conventions or gatherings, there's photo shoots. I mean, communities are built around this. Friends, some of my best friends that I've made are from like I've made costumes for, and now we're great friends. And it's a community of people who just love something, and that's so beautiful because you get to like all you are there, and all of you have that passion, and you just get to talk about things you want to make, conventions you want to go to. It's like being a part of like a football team, but everyone's dressed up like a superhero or like someone from Lord of the Rings or someone's holding a lightsaber. It's such a good community, and it's a creative community as well.
All right, here's a question I have. You may remember, you may not remember. What was the first cosplay that you took to a show? Do you remember it? Is it
Oh yeah.
if it was me, I probably would have forgotten by now, but
Um,
but
I
tell
actually
me.
I could send you a photo. But it is it really it, so my first cosplay item I made. Well, so cosplay is that I brought it to a convention, or the first superhero item that I made.
Do
Like
both.
like
Give me both. We can do
so
both.
so the first the first actual piece that I said I want to make this, and it just wasn't just me googling stuff randomly to myself, was the Iron Man Mark One suit when I was 12 years old. I made it out of cardboard boxes, ventilation tubes, like those big silver tubes that people put on their arms, and they look like giant slinkies, but they're for
Mhm.
ventilation. I made it out of a bunch of the garbage. I dumpster dived. I had a big pair of moon shoes. I took apart for the feet. I just I destroyed an old lamp to make it look like it had like circuitry on it because like the Mark One has all these wires hanging off.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing I ever made, and I remember being so excited. I couldn't move, I couldn't sit, I couldn't walk, but if I just, like, shuffled, I could, like, move a little bit, but, like, I really if you push me over, I'm like a penguin, I couldn't get up, it was just but that was the first ever, like, suit I ever made. The first thing I ever brought to a convention was, um, half of an Iron Man suit. A
Mhm.
lot of my other stuff was Iron Man, but it was half of an Iron Man suit, and that was my first introduction into cosplay, and I learned a lesson that you could prepare for anything in cosplay, and you'll never prepare for the day that you actually go to the convention. Meaning things will break that you didn't even think that would break. You get to learn how hot stuff could be on your body. Like it's like wearing that stuff in the convention floor is like putting on a bunch of snow gear in July. It get like you learn every time you go. And I remember going there dressed up in a cardboard and hot glue armor from I think I just made it like I based it off like the Invincible Iron Man from like the classic. We had the
Mhm.
yellow like it looked like he was wearing a morph suit, and it was so hot, and I was just sweating that the hot glue. I was like falling apart during the convention, but I didn't care. I was like, whatever, like it's fun, you know. By the
So I'm
end of it,
doing this, man. I'm enjoying this. I'm having fun. I'm
yeah,
burning up. I'm
yeah, no,
sweating out of my.
no, literally, every time I'd walk around, like the shoulder would fall off, and be like, oh, okay, and I took the shoulder and I threw it into a garbage. I think by the end of the convention, all I had was like the helmet and the chest and maybe the hands. The suit's gone. I have no idea where it is now, but I just remember leaving, going, I definitely got to do better next year. And that drive, and
Mhm.
you could ask any cosplayer, like at the minute you're done in the convention, you just go, and I can't wait for next year when I do it better. and that was the first thing I made. And those pictures are horrendous. It's just you could tell I have no idea what I'm doing in this suit, but I thought I was amazing. I was like, this is the best thing here. I feel like a king. Like so.
So, two questions. The first question is the obvious. How was it going to the bathroom?
Oh man, again another thing that you don't another thing you don't realize because like well, I mean for some costumes, so my friend was dressed as Captain America, so he like wore jeans. Because you know we're like 12, 13, 14, so like you know we wore like jeans. So he was fine. And then I remember I built like a cod piece and like thighs, and I remember I was like I have to go to the bathroom, and I looked down, I was like I didn't plan for that, so I had to like hold it, and then I was like, all right, listen, dude, I gotta go. And then we just went to the bathroom. I had to like unclothe in the stall, go to the bathroom, put it all back on. And I was like, okay, I can have no water for the rest of the day, or this is gonna be a problem. And like it's like now, if I ever go to whenever I go to Comic Con and I build stuff that I know I'm gonna do a whole suit, I'm like a zipper, like a zipper you can't see, like it's like just because you don't realize you don't like you, and also sitting down, like if you can't take off the abs or like cod piece, you're done. You might as well just call it there because you're not going to be having a good time throughout the convention. But that it's difficult.
Oh man, yeah, because I remember when the whole thing started, right? Because I've been going to conventions. Whew, you mentioned Iron Man, so I'm trying to imagine how old you really are, but I'm not gonna ask and I'm not gonna go there because I go back to going to conventions in the early '90s, when I went to conventions, and cosplay was not a thing. It became a thing later on,
Mhm.
um, and now whenever I tell people I'm going to the show, they always ask me, "So, what you gonna dress up as?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna dress up as a comic book artist because that's what I am, right?
Yeah,
This is my look."
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so they, and everybody tells me the same thing. And what's great about it is that since, and you've met my family, in the show that we went to, my girls dress up in cosplay, and now when just like you said, it just when the next show comes, they're already thinking about what they want to be, and more importantly, they're not thinking about being, the next Wonder Woman or, Gamora or Black Widow. They're thinking about becoming a character that people don't know, that people may not be familiar with, that they could be original. And then when people come see them, that, the selected few that know the character be like, oh, it's Ina. Because that's what
Yep.
my daughter, and then my other daughter will be like something, I think TV box man or something, TV box girl or something like that. Some
Oh yeah.
some crazy, crazy thing that they do. And it's just become a thing where obviously it's not a competition. There is a little bit of a competition, but it's a friendly competition, right? It's
Yeah.
it's among friends. No one's hating on anyone. No one's coming up to that person like, look at that crappy Wonder Woman costume, or
Oh
look
yeah.
at
I mean, if they
look at
do
that.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
they don't get what it means, right?
Of
So
course, yeah.
my question that I was going to ask you was, once you finish the show, what goes on your mind for next year? What are the things, obviously things to improve on, but more importantly, are you already thinking about what's your next character, who you're going to be, what you want to be, or are you just like, okay, this is what I can't do next year or something like that?
I think so. It depends. So on like I- back then, like so like I'm 22 right now. So I all high school was all Iron Man. So
Mhm.
every time a convention ended, I'd look at my friend who was all about Cap, and I was like, all right, so next year we're doing whatever the MCU is doing, right? Or like we're just gonna go in the comics and do Iron Man and Cap, Iron Man and Cap. And that was like the theme. But once I like got older, I was like, I want to do other stuff. It became like as long as I planned 6 months in advance, or unless I knew right then and there, that's how the planning process would go. Like I guess the day of the event when it's ending, I'd look at my friend and go, "So what do you want to do next year?" And he'd go, "I have no idea. We just finished the convention." I'm like, "Okay, okay," because I'm ready to start whenever. Because I always was excited. Um, and then after like a couple months passed, and maybe Eternals is coming out, and we're like, "Let's do the Celestials," or let's see, when Avengers Endgame came out and Infinity War. Like, if there's a movie to theme it across, then we're like, "Okay, we'll do that." but sometimes it's gonna be as spontaneous as Galactus, or the Justice League, you know. But the Justice League project was a huge thing. So it sometimes it could be the day of the convention, sometimes it could be 2 months after. Depends how much we have to build, how much like has to plan into it, how many people. But yeah, I guess it varies. But I'm always excited to start. I'm never like, oh, I have to do this, you know.
Yeah, because it's passion, right? It's a passion
Yeah.
project. It's something that you enjoy doing. You want to do more. Yeah, there's days that you probably be up late at night just working on something like how can you get this to work or how can you make
Oh
this look
God.
more real. I'm sure those sleepless nights are a big deal. I know all the time that happens to me, especially in art for me personally.
Oh yeah.
Before we start talking about your prop design, because obviously it morphed into prop design, even though that was always
Yeah.
part of your process. I want to go through one of your Instagram channels, and I want to just take a look at some of these images that we have here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share the screen here, all
Okay.
right, so that we could see some of that work. And let's go to this one. All right, let's start with this first, this celestial image here. First
Uh
of all, I love the fact, is this like in a living room or something like that? Because
yeah.
I absolutely love the living room part. This is the part I always love about cosplay. Sometimes
Oh
cops like
yeah.
to go back and something like screw it. I'm in my living room. I'm in my kitchen. Let me just do it here.
Yeah.
So I love the curtain. I love the curtains, but I'm looking at this particular this celestial character. I can't remember his name for the life of me. Oh, it's right there. What am I saying? Arishima the judge, right? So this is one of your cosplays that you did for the Eternals. I don't know if you did it for the movie or it was just something that you wanted to work on. Talk to me a little bit about this one.
So this is my first cosplay that wasn't Iron Man, and I this I so I was doing Iron Man every year, and I was in the car with my best friend, who is Galactus, and I was like, hey, um, we I'm bored of Iron Man. We gotta do something different. And he was like, well, he was like, well, I mean, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. Like Comic Con's in like 5 months. If we're gonna do anything, we gotta start now. And he goes, let's do something like crazy. Like, what's something you've never done before? He goes, who's your second favorite Marvel character? I was like, well, I like the Celestials, but those are like no one knows about the Celestials, you know? And he was like, well, screw it. Like, let's do it. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So we Googled a bunch, and this one, I was like, it's red. I have tons of red spray paint from Iron Man. We'll do this one. And then my friend was like, and I'll do Galactus. And I was like, okay. So I sat down, I made this big costume. I made the head way too big because I didn't understand scaling. So I was just so I because I knew I was like, I don't even know how I'm gonna do this. I had to like get a red morph suit. And I had to like figure out because like I couldn't because the Celestials are ginormous. So I bought these red welding gloves and I was like, I'll base the hands off this and then scale the rest of the body to that. So the whole torso, like the chest and arms are all like uniform to each other. But once the waist and legs, I just get super small because like I'm not jacked, so I can't do anything about that. And then when I was doing the head, I got too excited and I just started making it. I didn't measure, and then I put it on my head. I was like, "Oh, this is massive." So inside the helmet, there's probably like 3 inches of foam that just like holds my head into place. And
Mhm.
it's right here. I still have it. It's absolutely massive, but it was like my first time doing something anything else Iron Man. I couldn't see, which you could probably imagine.
Yeah, I
Like
was gonna ask that question.
I the so I cut out those lines and like I could kind of see, and in hindsight, I should have cut them on all the sides because I just had it in that front like rectangle.
Mhm.
But because of where I put the foam, I wouldn't be able to. So if someone, I couldn't hear either. So I had a friend who didn't dress up that year, and he was going to be like our handler. So like
Mhm.
if we were walking and like someone wanted to take a photo, he'd be like, "Hey, Richard," and he'd tap my shoulder, like, "Huh, what?" And like he'd be like, "Someone wants to take a photo." And he's screaming into this foam helmet, which is like soundproof. So I'm just like, okay, and I just like put my thumb up. Uh, the process for building it was all the stuff I was used to. It was EVA foam and hot glue, which is used to be my staple at the time. And yeah, I mean it's still around. I mean, I think it's like almost 4 years old. It's still here kicking.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it was definitely, and everyone loved it. I
Oh,
Marvel
it's
even
it's
like
gorgeous. It's
I
beautiful. Like
appreciate it.
I have to say it's really good. Go ahead.
I didn't realize how many people would like it, and then that because like everyone does Iron Man. Not to discredit Iron Man, he's
Mhm.
my number one character, but everyone does Iron Man. But it's those moments in Comic Con when you see something you never. Oh, I didn't think I'd ever see that. Like when someone does something deep cut from the comics, or someone does something so comic book accurate. Like I could like the MCU version of the Celestials, or like I don't even like
Yeah,
they
they're
look
very
so
organic looking. It's
yeah.
it's kind of a shame that it didn't go through the Kirby route with
I
it, which it's like that's all
yeah.
Kirby.
I have my opinions about the way the Celestials look. I like them, but I have my opinions about them. But
Yeah,
so I
I'm
remember
with you.
when I went to the Comic Con, we walked into the Marvel booth because every year the Marvel has a costume contest, and just for fun, And I was like, all right, me and my friend, we're gonna do it. And I could see through my little my like little rectangle holes. Dan Slott, who's one of the people who like are judging the costumes, he like stands on the stage and he points, and he just points. He goes, everyone move," and like the other judges like they all pointed him. I'm like, oh my god! And I also turned around and I was like, what are they looking at? And they were up to like, we got to take a photo. Like and if you go to my tags, if you scroll down, you could see like a couple photos with some of the people from Marvel, like the people who do like Marvel now. They were so excited about it. They were like, "Oh my god, this is crazy! I never thought I'd see a Galactus." Or, yeah, it's somewhere down there. You just have to go deep because it's one of the
I see
for. Oh,
this. I see a
yeah,
few
yeah,
of them
it's
here.
right there, right there. The right,
This one right
the
here.
gentleman. Yeah, right there. That's one of the gentlemen that I took a photo with.
Oh, okay. I know who
Um,
this guy is. I know exactly who this guy is.
yeah,
He's always the
he,
guy making the. I don't know him by name. Oh, I think that's his name right there, Langston Belton. So
yeah,
we,
he's always on like the YouTube with Marvel with well, also I think
yeah,
the
I know
regular
exactly who
people.
it is.
Yeah, but they were like freaking out and they're like, "You got to do the contest. You got to get up there." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, definitely. Like, that's the plan." And that's when I realized I like doing stuff that no one's seen, and then that started a whole new trend where I would want to make cosplays and costumes that people haven't seen or you wouldn't expect to see. So this started a whole journey into like costume making and cosplay that I never knew I needed or wanted, and it became a whole event.
Mhm. So let's take a look at the Galactus because I'm dying to be talking about the Galactus because so did you design the Galactus costume or was it a collaboration with you and your friend or was it your friend that did it?
So I designed the Galactus costume. Everything on the Instagram I design. When he says I'll do Galactus, that's his way of saying I'll dress up as Galactus.
I'll be
Because he knows.
Galactus in other words.
Like so, I mean, we'll talk about Galactus in a second. But the reason why I like cosplay is and because cosplay is always fun, and why I like props also is I love like as an artist, and you're an artist. When you get to see people enjoy your work in ways that you didn't even know you could appreciate, it's so fun. Like seeing how people react to the helmet to the Jack Kirby exhibit, or when you go to Comic Con, people are just interacting. That it gets me happy, and I love seeing my work on other people because how they move around in it. It's I actually enjoy it more than dressing up myself. I like dressing people up because
Mhm.
I get to fully like work on their body and make them look crazy, and they just get to model it and walk around. It's so that's why I love making costumes. I bring them into this world that they didn't even know they would like. And a lot of my friends who didn't even do cosplay, I'm like, hey, you want to dress up as this character? I need another person. They're like, sure, whatever, and they end up loving it. And I'm like, great, you look great. So for him, Galactus, uh, that was the helmet was a nightmare. That thing, we going through
But it's
doors.
awesome. I'm just trying to figure. I know it was hard for you, must have walking with that mug on your head, right? Talking about mugs,
Yeah,
we were just watching. Me and my kids were watching Cuphead, so that the celestial mug head thing. But walking around with a Galactus helmet, especially the size of that Galactus helmet, I could
mhm.
only imagine how many times he must have bumped into something, or more importantly, just being on the train. My favorite thing is seeing people on the train
Oh
dressed up
yeah,
in cosplay, especially when they're wild costumes like this one in particular. You know,
yeah,
I'm old fashioned to the point that you should never take off your helmet in public, type of thing, kind of like the Disney approach, right?
yeah.
But I understand why you guys have to do it. But if you're Galactus, you're Galactus 24/7 until you get home, right?
Of
So,
course, of course,
but
and it's funny because we had to take the train because we driving in the city is a nightmare, especially on the day of Comic-Con. So I was like, you know what, we'll take the train. We were just sitting there with we couldn't put that like we have bags, but the helmets we couldn't put in bags. They were just looking at us and we were like, hello, like
Comic Con.
yes, yeah, we're just like Comic-Con, and they go, oh, that's today, huh? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I mean, here it is. But the whole suit. So what are your questions on? I mean, I could tell you about the he couldn't walk through doors because he was too like the helmet was too tall, and he had to like anytime we were going through a door, our caretaker was like, hey, you have to bend over, and he bent over, and yeah. But yeah, those are my tagged photos.
Mhm.
The other stuff I've done.
So
Yeah,
I'm looking at. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so that stuff is for the Justice League project I did. This other person, so this guy, one day I'll cosplay. He actually does a lot of his own cosplay too. I personally, I we haven't done anything crazy since COVID. The last thing we did was the Celestial helmets, but
Mhm.
we he's someone that I work with a lot on the cosplay route because he does a lot of cool stuff, and he actually helped out with the Aquaman build um for the Justice League. So
Now I see that this is not one of your Ironmans, is it, or is it?
yeah, that's me. These are all the ones I'm tagged in. So if you scroll up and
Mhm.
if you go to back to my post, you'll see that that's just another a suit of mine. If you scroll all the way up back to my posts on the top,
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do right now.
yeah,
So we got Pimp Daddy,
yep,
Pimp Daddy
yep,
Galactus, with I guess the Celestial Bros, as I would call them.
yeah. So yeah, that was this year. That was great. We didn't even know him. He had the Galactus helmet. I was like, oh, we got to take a picture with him. Like you, it just worked out. He was really
It,
cool.
yeah, it works perfectly because it's like he's like a pimp daddy. He's like, purple bro, right?
Yep.
If you watch Hawkeye, you know what
Oh
I'm
yeah, I
talking
loved
about,
Hawkeye.
right? So, but then you guys are all dressed up in a similar gangster like look,
So that
but
was
as with celestial helmets. So you were like, it was like the Sopranos meet the Celestials.
that's yeah, yeah. It's Cosmic Sopranos. Um, y- but yeah, it's that was the point. I told my friends, I was like, listen, we got to dress up. Like originally, I wanted us all to wear suits, but getting everyone to try a suit on, it's like, you know what? No, not everyone. No one could meet up. So I was like, you know what? If you have black, if you have like coats and just look like you're part of a gang, and then we'll put the helmets on. And it worked out because everyone we killed it. But and we're gonna do bigger. We're gonna like get maybe double the people for this year with
Oh,
the
cool. So you
helmet.
definitely got to let me in on it so we could talk a little bit more because I will be at Comic Con, of course.
Oh, you'll definitely see it. We're gonna do some great. I
I
have an
have yet
idea.
to have missed a Comic Con since it started. So
Oh wow.
yeah, since the very first one, and trust me, the first one was a disaster. but but I've been to every single one of them. I've been part of it in some way. Um, we absolutely have to collaborate in some way, and we'll talk offline to see what we could do with my daughters to see if we could get involved in some way.
Of course,
Um,
yeah. We'd love to
because
help.
it'll be fun to do something. I know they always think about something crazy, especially the way their minds are working these days. They're young teenagers now, so they're like, oh, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. What's hot here? What's this? So
Yeah.
fun stuff. So this leads to the next part that I want to get to because obviously we talked a lot about cosplay, but I want to talk about your prop design, right? So looking at this, it immediately draws to the attention the headpieces that you designed, and this is how I got to meet you when we were at the Kirby exhibit. So I want to talk a little bit more about, and we'll cut this out here, and we'll start showing up the helmets in particular. Talk a little bit about your prop design work and how you've turned this into like a new career out of your love for cosplay, which eventually became your love for prop design. So I want to focus on prop design now.
So prop design was the goal. Whenever like I told you, when I was a kid, I wanted to make costume and props. Of course, the costume route is way more complicated than I thought after researching and being on sets of like different films and seeing how they do costumes. It's you sewing and all that. It's an art on its own. So I found my place in prop design, but I knew that getting into prop design wasn't like it. I have to ditch the hot glue gun. I can't use foam. So um, I started in 2019. No, yeah, in 2019, I decided to take my cosplay adventures and put it on hold and start a new adventure of business and try to actually sell my stuff. That was with making different props from the Marvel movies or the DC films or the comics and just seeing if people wanted it. I mean, like I had tons of stuff lying around and my father was like, listen, we're gonna run out of room in the basement. Like we gotta figure this out. Like you throwing some away. So I opened up an Etsy and I started just throwing stuff on there. And then as I got some like traction, I was like, I'm just gonna start making stuff more professional. I ditched the EVA foam route. I started working with plastic. I started using more expensive glues. I started sculpting, and I realized that this is the path I got to take. As much as I would love to make a full Iron Man suit, I can't because what am I going to do with it when it's done? Unless I'm making it for someone. So I started working smaller. By smaller, I mean the helmets, the shields, different like big, maybe more sculptures, because my goal was to be on a movie set, and I knew that I can't keep just using EVA foam. Like the cosplay route ran its course, and it got to me where I got to where I needed to be in the art field. But then I had to take that leap, and I just ordered a bunch of 3D printers because now I'm taking the next leap into prop design, which is casting and molding and working with more expensive materials that could be used on a movie set. At least that's what I'm told. And through different interviews and different internships, everyone I talked to was like, "Yeah, get a 3D printer. You have to learn how to 3D model on programming." So I'm getting into that. It just became it's like an evolution. And like how I look back when I was a kid making stuff with cardboard and a hot glue gun. Now it's just working with stronger materials. Like these helmets. These helmets are made of EVA foam. They're prototypes. For Comic Con, I kind of decided that anytime I go to a convention now, since it's so expensive to make something and like that's expensive, like for example, I have a helmet here. This is just like the celestial heads, but it's solid plastic. Like, you could drop this off like a house and it won't break. Like it's full. It's a rock solid plastic helmet, and that was the goal because these were prototypes, and that's how I kind of do it now. If I'm ever want to make something, I make an EVA foam prototype, and then I make a plastic final design, and now I'm gonna cast it, and so I can make infinite because usually I make everything by hand. But if I could cast it, I could just pop one out whenever I want. So it's a gradual evolution, I guess I could say.
Yeah, and it's something that, again, it immediately draw our attention when we first saw it. So let's talk a little bit about that. Where we met, the Kirby show that we both were a part of. That you were able to display some of your work there. Tell me how it came about. Talk to me a little bit about it. We'll show some photos of the place that we were at. So
Uh,
talk to me a little bit about the Kirby exhibit and
that
how
happened.
they approached you.
That was a complete accident. That I don't. Kind of like how the Galactus and Arisham when we first went. How that happened. The same process. Um, so Eternals was coming out, and me and my friends were like, "Hey, what should we do for Comic Con this year?" And I was like, it's like the first Comic Con back, COVID. I don't want to do anything crazy. Plus, I don't have time. Let's just do helmets. Let's do the Celestials. I love the Celestials. Let's bring it back. Let's go back to basics, where it all started. And they're like, great. So let's all be Celestials. So I made everyone a helmet. And I wasn't going to do the MCU versions. They were way too complicated. I am working on them though, but they were way too complicated at the time. I was like, I'll make these quick helmets. It's from the comics, so it's not too complicated. So it's mostly just panel lines. And I didn't think anyone would notice or care. I think some people would notice who Arisham was, but and maybe Isan because he was in Guardians. But the other two characters, I forget their names. I
The,
didn't
the
think
Celestials
anyone,
is a group that most people don't remember their names. You got to
but
be
they
like,
should because they're so cool. And
no,
and
they're cool. We all remember though. Again,
yeah,
I've been collecting comic books since '87, so that's how long
yeah,
ago I've been doing it. The Celestials have always been a really good group of, immortal godlike characters, right?
yeah,
Everyone knows the Celestials. Everybody knows what they're about. The catch is no one can remember their names because there's some crazy names, obviously,
Yeah,
that you just can't seem to remember, right? It's like when I watch anime cartoons, I could never remember the character's name. I remember All Might, right? Because it's All
yep.
Might, but
Can't forget All Might. Yeah,
right, Naruto, that's simple. That's the name of the show. So things like that. Same thing with the Celestials. Celestials are who they are. They are the Celestials, and that's how we remember them as who they. You have to go uber geek to remember their names, and it's just the way it
yeah.
is. So
I
it's no big deal.
yeah. It's again, and I told my friends like, listen, we're gonna go as this just for fun because like my rule for Comic Con, even if you don't have to go all dressed up, you could just bring Thor's hammer. Like as long as you bring something. And I was like, we definitely have to do the helmets. And we were walking around, and some people who diehard comic book fans were like, "Oh my god, the Celestials!" And I was like, "Hey," and like it was fun, but like most people really just like honestly, they probably thought we were like Power Rangers or something. I wasn't like offended at all. I was like, it's just for us. But we walked by this booth called the Jack Kirby booth, and I was like, oh, we gotta go check that booth out. Like that's we have to go see them. Like we're literally Jack Kirby Celestials. And we walked over and they lost their minds. They were like, "Oh my god!" And like we walked in a line, so like we looked like the Beatles. How we like that cover? We just like walked in front
Yeah,
of them. We were
I
like,
know what you're talking
"Hey,"
about.
um, and they freaked out. We took a bunch of photos, and we I bought stuff from them. And the I forget his name. The person who was running the booth, he was at the show. Oh, forget his name, but he was like, "Hey, so like if you want to like come by the booth later, like we're having more family members come over, like you just take photos. You have like a time. We exchanged information. We came back at that time, took more photos, and we were just geeking over Jack Kirby because I love Jack Kirby, and we were just chilling. And he told us he was like, "Hey, so we'd love to show your helmets at this place that we're doing like a big museum show in New York." And I'm like, "That sounds amazing." And he was like, "Yeah, just like, do you mind if we borrow the helmets? Can you make us more?" And I was like, "Whatever you want, like I'm totally down." It worked out to just give him these, and I was gonna originally make new ones, but I just ran out of time. So yeah, yeah, there it is. Yeah, it was such an honor. I mean, as an artist, I've never that was my first museum show. It was a big deal for me. I mean,
Mhm.
and it was great that I got to show something that I loved. While it isn't my original work, I get to show Jack Kirby's work off and to honor him is an honor alone. Like it was so much fun, and I love seeing people interact with the helmets, and even at bring because like that Comic Con love I don't really see because outside Comic Con people are like, oh yeah, it's just a helmet, but to go to this like place, that's how I met you. Like your daughters, they love them, and it was so much fun just to see that interaction. And I was like, I feel like I'm at Comic Con. Like it was great.
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
was fun because you let the one thing that was really great is that you let people put the helmet on. I remember my daughter was like, "You got to put this on," and I'm walking like I feel like an idiot to be quite honest. Because again, not a cosplayer, but I did walk around with one of the helmets. My daughter was walking around with the helmets, and there's photos all over of people putting on the helmets and things like so. I could only imagine, it's like for me, drawing a picture for someone is totally cool, and then they're showcasing it and then they're posting it. It must feel the same way for a person like yourself, where they're putting on something you designed, something you created, and that love is still there. Then people are appreciating what you're doing.
yeah,
So yeah, it was a nice little show. I enjoyed being there for the time that we were there. Um, and I remember my wife was the one who's like, "We gotta go to this Kirby show. We gotta go to the Kirby show." And being I'm the comic book guy originally, she fell in love with Kirby. And obviously, it's who wouldn't? If you don't love Kirby, there's something wrong with you. Uh,
exactly. Yeah, like
so
it's the art is alone.
you
It's
just
beautiful.
you just don't get it. That's what I boil it down to. Like there are people that don't understand what made Kirby so great. For example, like the Celestials, like designing the Celestials. This is where for me personally, where the Eternals failed. But Thor Ragnarok got it.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's
Exactly.
like that's the route they should have gone with it, but they decided to go this route. But then again, who am I to make that decision? Yeah, I absolutely love the work. So now, what I would like to know a little bit more about. is you have some more stuff here. Can you talk to me a little bit about this particular exhibit that you were working on? I'm looking at the photos now. This was obviously there you are there,
Mhm.
showcasing some of your work in what the Dave Fag. How do you say it? Fagin like that?
David Fagan.
Fagin. Okay, sorry, I didn't want to offend anybody in
No,
that
yeah, no,
way.
it's a very interesting last name. I mean, I was like, how do you say that? And everyone asked, how do you say his name? But no,
Okay,
he's
so
a very talented artist. He's a very
mhm.
talented artist.
So
The
talk to
whole
me a little bit about this particular art show that you did.
So this art show was brought up by my college. So when you're a senior, you have to do it's like your thesis, and if you're an art major, your thesis is your senior show, and every art student on campus comes together and does one big show. Like if you're a senior, you bring it's almost like you watch My Hero, so I
Yes.
could say it's like when all the kids do that big like tournament style, like they're all
Hmm.
compete like fighting each other. It's
Yeah.
kind of like that. Like we all like compete for like the first place at all and like all mediums are allowed: sculpture, photography, painting. And there's a prize. So I decided I was like, I want to do something I've never done before, and that's make something that's me. Um, I've been making Iron Man suits and this stuff forever, but I've never actually got to tackle my own work, which is something that I'm still working on because, with time being a factor, I actually got to make stuff that I never knew I could make. I got to delve into the abstract and I decided to make foam heads. So these are a combination of so many mediums: sculpture, it's EVA foam, plastic, um, plumbing, fabric, different. Every piece is like an hour worth conversation, but the idea was to make something that was different, to make something that no one's seen before. I wanted to create this like Day of the Dead style like art, that like with the skeleton. I like got Day of the Dead stuff, and then with the big dress, I wanted like the centerpiece, Change Machine. That's his name. I wanted to make something look futuristic. In my eyes, those three are all the same person. Kind of like when like you ever been to the, it's like it's a museum in New York where it's like, or if it's in New York, it's like the body museum where you can see like the nerves and the bones
Oh,
and
I
the
know what you're
muscles.
talking about.
That's kind of what I wanted to replicate. So you could obviously see that we have the skeleton, the nervous system, and then the final one with the skin. That was the idea. That was the look. And they're called foam heads, and they have these square heads. It's based off my logo, and yeah, they're crazy. I love them so much. They're super abstract. They're different. In my eyes, these are my celestials. Like how Jack Kirby made his celestials. These are
Hmm.
mine. Um, and they're just like there's no like deep story behind them. It's just the blunt fact of I just want to make something crazy, and I found a medium that I like, which is big sculpture,
Hmm.
and I just went with it. And that's for these three. The other three are helmets.
Hmm.
So yeah, those are those guys.
See if I could find them here. I don't know exactly where
If
they
you
are.
go uh, masks,
Figures or masks? They'll be on the mask because I see a few of them here.
yeah, these are the three, the big three, and
Hmm.
then the masks are like a deeper into the mask. But yeah, so each one is made of different EVA foam or plastic or wire. So like that one, I actually had clay and I sculpted the veins. And then for the body, I did wire and fabric, and I sewed a bunch of like tendrils. That one I made a human skeleton. I tried to scale it, but I just ended up making it as abstract. It's kind of like a cyborg, kind of like
Hmm.
cyberpunk. And then I tried to sculpt it to look like bone, gave it a matte black, and it's kind of like a cyborg robot skeleton. And then I made a big dress because I just felt it at the moment.
Hmm.
And then the change machine, he's massive. He's like, he's still. I'm looking at him right now. He's absolutely massive. But that one's actually the most simple one. It's just
Hmm.
wrapping him in that fabric that I love so much. It changes color depending
It's
what kind.
gorgeous too. The fabric's gorgeous.
Yeah, this is how I wish like the some celestials look. Like I think I want to do that fabric for like if I ever make the celestial heads again, I'm
Hmm.
gonna paint it to have that type of effect where they have like a I forget what the name is, but it almost looks like oil. How like it has that oil shine when oils on like the road. It has like a rainbow
Mhm.
design. I just love it. And the masks are the same idea. I wanted to create abstract. These are my own designs. I mean, I got to really do whatever. Obviously, I got inspired. That one was inspired from a Netflix TV show. I actually forget the name of it, but I walked in, my brother was watching it, and I was like, "Well, that looks interesting." I just wanted to replicate the shape. And that one's based off of Mayan temples from Guatemala,
Mhm.
and yeah, again, everyone has a little story to like what I used and like based it off, but it was so much fun. However, this one, that TV head, um,
Mhm.
that one was the first one I ever made out of all of them. It's a blown out screen of like those old TVs with like the antenna and the wire. When they get really hot and they explode, that's how I feel every time I finish a cosplay. I look like it's rush. It's just like tired. That's the
The
feeling, and I
silhouette.
wanted to like showcase that.
Yeah, these are so they're so intricate, so detailed. I love the fact that you took the time to work on them. Um, they're just amazing looking at this work. Okay,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
right. So let's go into some of the other props that you worked on here. Obviously, we see. Let's start with your favorite Iron Man. So you got
Mhm.
the Iron Gauntlet. All right.
Yes,
Um, obviously, Endgame.
yes, Endgame.
Love for that one there. But how long did something like this work took? Like, obviously, you did the little rubies. I see that you made it so that each finger could move in a certain way,
Mhm.
and then
So,
there, and then the snap. So the goal was to make the actual snap happen.
yeah, so I was torn because with gauntlets like that, it's flexibility versus like real life. Because obviously in the movie it's all CGI,
Hmm.
and that is fully made of foam. That's really before I started making things out of plastic. So the foam is actually more flexible to actually do the snap. But I wanted to make sure I was able to do it, and that it's funny. Some props I start and then I just stop, and then a month later I'll go back to it. But if I had to take all the time and just push it together,
Hmm.
that probably took like 3 weeks, maybe a month, depending on like if I got to sleep that night. Um, Thor's hammer. I'm actually gonna remake that because again, that like basically all the props that I made that was before the Wakanda shields that are up there
Hmm.
were all foam. Which
Oh, I
I think
noticed
that
that.
but that hammer is from the Secret Empire storyline where Captain America becomes a Hydra agent. I
Hmm.
know it's very controversial amongst fans. I love it. I think
Woo!
it's a very interesting run. I know. Some people don't
I
like it,
have
and I
my
respect it.
opinions.
Yeah, yeah, of course. No, I think, and that's the beauty, and that's the best part about comics because everyone has their own opinion, and you can talk about it as long as everyone's nice.
I
Um,
will admit to this much: it is not the worst thing for me.
oh
Um,
no, there's
it's
definitely
not the
worse.
worst. There's a story. There's a story that they just adapted into a film that absolutely hated. When I finish reading it, I'll tell you what it is in a bit. But looking at this particular Mjolnir hammer, it is gorgeous. Looking at it, like
Thank you so much.
now is does this look as heavy as it seems?
That
I
one
mean,
was
does it is
hollow.
it as heavy as it looks? That's what I meant to say.
So that one is hollow. I made it hollow because I didn't want to like fill it with the clay, but I did make some that were filled with this where I think I have some around here. It's like a foam clay that expands.
Mhm.
And you could, depending like which one I get, you could make it weigh. So like that one weighed like 25 pounds. That
The
one was heavy.
Stormbreaker,
Yes, the original Stormbreaker.
mhm.
That's my Beta Ray Bill is one
Beta
of my
Ray
favorite
Bill.
Bill. Yeah. But yeah, that one weighed a lot. It was funny. Like that how it could hold itself like that was very funny. How the end of the hammer was very very heavy, but yeah, these props were all EVA foam at the time, and I was just working with what I got. Like I said, it's expensive to cosplay, but um, right when like if that Iron Man hand actually is a funny story that I could tell you, but
Oh, okay. Go
um,
ahead.
so that was my first prop. That's what got me a job. So I have and I'm allowed to say this now. I definitely am allowed to say this now because it's been a while, but I got to intern with Marvel Studios itself, and I got to be a prop designer for a Disney Plus show, a couple of Disney Plus shows, and
Mhm.
it was the dream come true. I got to work for
Yeah.
Marvel, and I can't say what show,
Mhm.
but I could say that I made a lot of props for them, and that's what got me into plastic because they're like, "Hey, the EVA foam stuff is cool, but we need you to like push it." The reason why they picked me up is because during COVID, they were filming something, and since like all the shops were closed, so everyone who had a 3D printer at home was pretty much working, from my understanding.
Mhm.
And they were looking for just different props, and they found my Etsy. They saw this glove. They didn't buy this glove, but they saw my props. They were like, "We're just gonna grab this guy and like use him as a contractor for us. Like we need it. Like we're just gonna help. We're gonna ask him to help build stuff for us." And I was so honored because at the time I thought my stuff was okay because I was still
Mhm.
growing, but they they pushed me farther because they gave me some materials I didn't even think I was going to use, like plastic, like plastic welding. They jump started me, and now I actually have contacts with them, and I get to learn with them, and we talk here and there, and whenever they have an opportunity for me to jump on a movie or TV show, I do take that call, and I obviously take it because why wouldn't you?
Oh,
Um, but it's still the one thing they always tell me is that, and they say it with passion, that I'm not ready, and that's like a good thing because while my stuff is, I think, good, um, those props they make that Marvel makes is they're so intricate. There's a way of painting, the way they airbrush, the way they even sculpt that I'm still learning. And they could see through my work. You know, they don't want stuff out of EVA foam. They want stuff that they could smash on the ground and not break. The actors have to fight with it if they don't
mhm.
CGI it. So this was the prop that changed my Etsy store, that changed how I make things. Like this Red Guardian shield wouldn't be here without that little hand. And I remember I made that and went, whatever. I just put it on the Etsy store because I like the scene from Civil War. And I was
Mhm.
like, well, we'll see if anyone buys it. And it was the ticket to the career that I'm finally starting to actually like push into and develop a name for myself. It's just like I said, it's a progression. It's a
Yeah,
growing.
congratulations on that. So,
I
it's
appreciate it.
really good to hear stories of people that, what started as a pet project or a hobby and or something that you wanted to pursue becomes something more important, more, something that you get paid for. People say that you like your job, but you love your career, right? So
Hmm.
congratulations. Obviously, it's amazing seeing this stuff, seeing this work. Um, let's talk a little bit about this collection of shields. So
Oh,
one thing
the
I've noticed
infamous.
about your sites is that you have a tendency of throwing in like like items, with thus the collection of shields. So talk to me a little bit about the different types of shields that you were thinking about. Obviously, the original Captain America shield, but then we got Red Guardian, we got Captain Carter, and then we got some other ones here, that are coming, that's standing out. The broken shield, right?
Yes.
Um, Taskmaster. It'll take me a minute to try to remember Taskmaster. Talk to me a little bit about this collection of shields.
Oh, the shields. If we're gonna go issue zero, you actually have to scroll down and look at the Red Guardian shield I made way down. That actually right there.
This one, the original. This is the
Oh
first.
Christ.
It
This
looks
is so.
gorgeous though. It looks like real metal.
Oh, you know what's funny? I can't. Some people, everyone says that, and this is like I hate this thing. So and it's so funny because I had no idea what I was doing. When you're starting a business, you just kind of start, you know? And at the time I was like, it'd be cool just to make whatever I want. It'd be cool just to like make Iron Man hands, shields. It'd just be cool to make stuff. But to actually like but what maybe if people like take an interest, like maybe I see that people are buying the Iron Man hands, I'll start making more Iron Man hands. When I made this shield, this was during the pandemic. I think April. When did I post this? July 2nd. So I made this shield in like April, and I kept like editing it, and then I finally like finished it in July because originally the Black Widow movie was supposed to come out in 2019. So Red Guardian was in it, and no one was talking about him. And I didn't even really know who the character was, but I knew he was getting a new shield. And I was like, you know what? I want to make the shield. And everyone loved it. It sold out immediately on Etsy. And I kept getting messages, can you restock? Can you restock? And I was like, oh my God, all right, yeah, sure. So as I made new ones, I realized how I could do it better. Like once I got into plastic, the quality just changes. And so that was all EVA foam. The leather straps weren't even real leather. It was like nylon spray painted brown. I was just learning. And once I saw the audience, everyone just wanted shields. That's why like the posts just become Captain America shields and Black Panther shields, because that's what they wanted. Like, I mean, I would put that, like, I put the Infinity Gauntlet on the Etsy. One got bought, but Captain America shields are going like that. So
I'll take the Infinity Gauntlet. I love the Infinity Gauntlet. I have a passion for that thing.
I mean, listen,
but I'm a comic book Infinity Gauntlet. It has to be the George Perez version.
That's what I'm saying. I love the comic. I mean, I like what the MCU did. I like because it makes sense, like, to the universe. I'm always down for an adaptation, but I love the idea of just like it looks like a rubber glove. It fits everyone because it's magic. Like I love that.
Yeah. For me personally, it's the placement of the gems in themselves, because if you know the comic books, you know how important the soul gem really is.
Yes,
and
Adam Warlock and all that.
Adam Warlock's my guy. I got a comic book right there. I got his first appearance right up there in front of me. Can't see it here, but it's there. First appearance signed by Stan Lee in the first Comic-Con. As I told you, I was in the first one. Stan Lee signed my comic book, my first appearance of Adam Warlock. So I love the Gauntlet because it's one of that particular story as a whole. They did it differently in the movie, but I'm happy what they did. I still don't know what's going to happen to Adam Warlock when he shows up, but because he is the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. But there's other things you could do with him, of course. But what I love is when I wanted to see it in movie screens, I wanted to see that green in the center, where they decided to put it somewhere else, and they put the yellow one in there to make the Mind Stone the most important one. Was like, it's the Soul Storm. Everybody knows that.
That's the biggest what if I played with my brother. I was like, would you? Because like I always go, why would you change the colors? Like and we theorize why they did it, but like me and my brother always say, like, all right, would you rather have the stones be in the right spot, or would you have the stones be the right color?
That's a good question. I like the stones being the right color.
So like the Infinity Gauntlet would look the way it does in the movie, but they would so the Mind Stone is blue in the comics. The Mind Stone is blue in the comics, right?
I can't tell you. I could tell you that what I could tell you is the Soul Stone is green. That's
Soul's green. Space is purple.
We could probably look this stuff up. That's what we should Google, look this
right? Up. I know time is orange. Time is orange. Space is purple. Time is orange. Green is soul. I think yellow is reality. Blue is mind, and then red. Red is power.
You're seeing me typing in Google.
Of course, you're gonna get the MCU Infinity Gauntlet.
No, it has to be the original, right? So we go with the original comic, right? So, oh man, I have this book, by the way. I love it. It's one of my favorite books. So let's see what the wiki says, because I'm sure it's out there, and of course it's too much work here. You know what? We'll figure this out another time. I don't want to bore people with just looking at stuff like that. Let's focus on what we came here. But yes, going back to it, I would like them to be the original colors, because eventually, if they decide to bring them back in the movies in some way, which I don't think it's going to happen, but if they were to bring them back in the movies and Adam Warlock's present, Adam Warlock has the Soul Stone, and right now it's like an orangey yellow color, right? That I know. He's a yellow character. His skin tone is orangey like that. So
he's
you put
gold.
orange.
He's gold.
Yeah, he's gold, right? So you put that on his head, because that's where it's going to end up, right? Becomes a gem on his forehead. It's going to look funny. And
also the Infinity Stones are gone.
Technically.
technically.
Everything could come
Nothing's
back,
ever
right?
gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing's ever gone, right? Except for Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben,
Yep.
you
Except
stay
Uncle
dead.
Ben. Yeah, he stays dead no matter what.
No matter what. But I said the same thing about Bucky and Robin, and look what happened.
Oh,
Um,
yep, exactly. There you go.
so again, I don't want to go too far off, but yes, just the idea of the Infinity Goals with the changes, the little changes they made, though, to the purists, they get upset at it, right? Like again, I'm a bit of a purist. I always believe Bumblebee should have always been a beetle, and
Yeah.
they did it right. They fixed it for me, but he ended up being a Camaro again afterwards. So oh well.
That's
Let's
why and I hate to jump off the Etsy stores with the shields, but that's why when I made my Iron Man cosplay, the one in like your banner, when I made the snap, since I was doing the classic comics, I gave him I put the stones in the right spot, um, because I was like they didn't do it in the movie. He obviously does I am Iron Man. He has the MCU stones, but when I made mine, I made sure to order and cast stones that were like the correct size from the comics.
Oh,
But
then I appreciate it and thank you for it. Um,
yeah,
Wanda, Scarlet
yes,
Witch. So this particular piece is taken from the TV show WandaVision. I take it right.
yes,
Um, it's gorgeous, by the way. I love
thank you.
how it looks. I love the color scheme. Um, and how would someone do this now? Is it wearable or is it just the way it is? Can someone actually put it on? Did you make it so that someone could put it on?
Yeah, so I hid it in the photo because I just didn't want an elastic band to be
Yeah,
hanging.
obviously.
So yeah, so there is a band in the back that is white that because usually this is worn by someone who's being Scarlet Witch. So I made it
They
so
have
we
to
could
have the
hide it.
hair pretty much in some way.
Yeah. Um. So I made it. It's just it's like a pair of like glasses with the band. It just goes around the head and it sits right in your forehead. And that was the first plastic prop I made that wasn't for Marvel because Marvel I did plastic props, but for my own pleasure, like my own stuff.
Mhm.
That was the first plastic prop that I made, and I was like, "This is cool." I mean, I was like, I was a dude like geeking over a tiara essentially, but I was like, "This is awesome." And then once I did that, I did the Wakanda shields, and then I did Captain Britain, and then I just started going off. Um,
Mhm.
but I have to restock my store. I've just been
Yeah.
so busy. But
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your Etsy store. So you have your website where you can
mhm,
display all your work and things like that. Obviously, we could find you on Instagram where you display most of your most recent work. It's the quickest way of doing things, right?
yeah.
And now you also have this Etsy store. Um, and you offer people the opportunity of getting props, right?
Mhm.
How can someone go into your Etsy shop and order something from you? Now, can they do it by request or they do it by looking at something and say, "Hey, I want this Red Guardian shield," or do you actually take requests from people?
So the online store Etsy is as simple as any like Amazon. You click on the prop and you can just buy it right there. And then if you have specific requests, because some people want you could like type a little note in when you buy like, hey, can you make the red on Captain Carter's shield blue so it could look like the Winter Soldier shield from Captain America: The Winter Soldier? And I was like, yeah, of course. And then like when I make it, I do that. However, if you see something here that you don't want, but you like the designs and you want to, or like maybe you saw the celestial heads, you want your own, you could message through Etsy. You could message me personally. It goes
Mhm.
straight to my email and my inbox on my phone. And you could order, if you commission, like for example, this helmet is a commission. Someone wanted a celestial head, and they saw the Jack Kirby stuff and they saw the Instagram, so they were like, "Hey, do you mind if I get my own?" I was like, "Of course." And we sat down. They designed it themselves,
Mhm.
and they got to make it. Right now, it's solid green. This is tape because there's like a screen inside, but I covered it to like make sure it didn't get dirty. So it's like a black screen, kind of like how Risham the Judge, I had like a black screen, so
Mhm.
they could see through it. But I'm gonna go in with my airbrush and shadow it and make it look like metal. So if DM on Instagram, email me on Etsy. If you go to my website, there's like a little message board that you could just. I get all the message right then and there, so there's no reason for me not to respond unless I'm
Mhm.
at work. But I always will get back as soon as possible.
Mhm.
So I do take commissions. I'm taking them right now currently. However, it's The only thing I will say is because it's so cold where I live, especially.
Yeah,
It
because you're up by Pigskill, by not Pigskill, Poughkeepsie, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's crazy because you know what's funny? Today, I got to paint the Red Guardian shield. It was 65 today. I was like, this is amazing. This is the
Mm-hmm.
best weather. It's gonna snow tomorrow. I was like, like, and like I feel bad because like this Red Guardian shield was ordered in November. I told the customer, I was like, hey, listen, it's too cold to spray paint, so I can get this to you as soon as possible, but you have to be patient with me just because it's snowing. He was like, dude, I don't care, just make it. And I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
and you
fine.
could always show them the process. Like, look, I'm doing it.
Yeah, no,
Because
literally, he would ask how's it going, and I would just take a picture of the shield, and take a picture of my front yard. I'm like, it's like 30 degrees. The spray paint's not gonna like that. But you know, I always love doing commissions, especially stuff that like I've never built before. Like I think the craziest commission I did was a Godzilla suit. I
that could have
made
been my friend James.
I had there was someone at SUNY Purchase who it's a school in Westchester, and they reached out and they're like, hey, listen, I'm doing a play based off Godzilla. And I was like, that's interesting. And he was like, yeah, I need a Godzilla suit though. I don't need the whole thing. I just need like the head, the back, the spines, and the tail. And he sent me his sketches, and I was like, sure. And I did it. And I remember making it going, this is so weird. Like I've never made a lizard before. Like, and he's not a lizard to be fair, but I was just like making it, and it was actually, I don't have any pictures on me, but I have a photo of it on my mirror. I could show you. It's this is what it looked like in the poster, but
Mhm.
that's
Oh,
what it.
okay. It wasn't like a
Yeah.
Mecha Godzilla, was it?
No, it's just the way the fire in the background. He looks
I
red,
see what you mean.
but yeah, it was a whole. God, that was an ordeal because I had to make it. Because the thing about prop design, the one that's people don't usually get is like making a Captain America shield or a helmet is. I'm gonna say easy, but it's not. I'm just gonna say easy because to make something look real, that's hard. You know what I mean? Like if anyone can make Captain America shield, but to make something that isn't metal look like metal, or make something that looks like take foam to make it look like wood. Like when they make stuff for like Groot in
Mhm.
Marvel. I mean, obviously he's all CGI, but they do sculpt the model to 3D scan, or they do to make him look like wood. That's a talent on its own. So when I was making this Godzilla suit, I was like, I have to make this look like something that is alive, not like a robot or metal. Like he has to look like a lizard and a dinosaur. So I was like, I was playing with so many airbrushes and like sculpting techniques. So I was like, he has to look real. Like he can't look like, I mean, it's Godzilla, but like he has to not look like a celestial. So I was just trying to make sure I got
Yeah.
that part right.
Okay. So let's start wrapping up. But before I let you go, I do have one idea.
Okay.
Sentinels, man. You got
Uh,
you're right there.
I know. And you know what's funny? Everyone's been saying that. They're like, why haven't you done the Sentinels?
It's
And
like
I'm like, listen,
You got the Celestials, the Sentinels. They should return sooner or later. We know with Doctor Strange things are happening. So you know,
so
just a thought. Or the Manhunters and things like that. Keep it in that theme.
I,
Yeah,
the Celestial, the Sentinels. And I always mess them up. I mess, see,
Sentinels,
now that we're talking,
Celestials.
yeah, so the Sentinels, I actually this year for Comic Con, we are doing the Celestials again. But I did say that I was like, hey, listen, if the X-Men ever come into the MCU, if they're coming in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, we should do the same idea. Like we should look like the Sopranos, but like we should have the Celestial, the Sentinel heads. And
Well,
if
you
we
can
see
have Master Mode. You can have
yeah,
the
like
different types,
we
right?
can make it fun. And like it's a bucket list item. Like another bucket list item is Ultron. At some point I want to make an Ultron, like do Ultron heads, because that one is there but it's too small. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah,
So
so you got to keep it with the metal theme, right?
yeah.
It's Richard. It has been great having you in the show. Don't go anywhere yet. But
Okay.
before we end the show, where can we find you again? I know you said it a couple of places, but where can people find you, Richard?
You can find me on Instagram at FoamHead338 or my Etsy account on Instagram, FoamHead Designs. You also could find me on Etsy with just FoamHead Designs, and my website, FoamHead Designs. And the website is contemporary sculpture. That's it. That's how it looks on Google. But just FoamHead Designs everywhere. And you can just reach out to me, and I would love to answer any more questions or even collab. So.
Thanks, Richard. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna just put you to the side, put you back in the waiting room, and we'll talk in a minute. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, there you have it. That was our interview with Richard Cintron of FoamHead Designs. It was awesome having this interview. Again, it was different from what we normally talk about, which is comic books and wrestling, but it's all in one love, right? Again, I just want to plug in a few things before I let everybody go. I want to make sure that you know that this Monday we're going to have our interview with our good pal. Let me make sure I remove this from the background. Ken Newston. That's going to be a great interview with Ken Newston. That's going to be this Monday at 7 o'clock. Also next week, we're going to have the Batman spoiler review. It's good. I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. It's not exactly the Riddler I wanted, but it definitely looks like the Penguin I was asking for. So we'll see how that turns out. On March 5th, as you know, there is a comic book show. It is in Tremont Avenue in the Bronx, and it is free. The Bronx Comic Book Show. I will be there. I'll be recording some shows, talking to a couple of people here and there. That same weekend on Sunday is the AEW Revolution Reactions Results Review. It's going to be fun talking about AEW, finally having an AEW show. So I'm so looking forward to that one. And lastly, without further ado, if you need a place to get comic books, please buy comics. Comics is what makes this all happen, right? Buy your comic books. If you're looking for a comic book shop, we got one in New Rochelle, right in between New Rochelle and Main Street, so a little off New Rock City. You should be able to find Squeaky's Dugout. It's a nice place. Go to it. Tell them that Izzy says hi. Ask for Peter. He's the guy that runs the place. And again, they're having a great comic book sale. Get your back issues for $1, independent titles for $1, collector sets for 50%, BOGOs for 50% off, and all that great stuff. It has been a blast, everybody. Again, if you have the chance, go ahead and support us. There's the Patreon. You could do $1 a month. That's as simple as that. Or if you want to just give one-time donation, you could give it to the GoFundMe, and that is the green QR code that you see right there. Again, any way you can support the channel is my way, helps me out. Again, if you leave a comment down, I'm going to send you a little sticker, a free sticker, the IzzyVerse. It's going to be fun. So be on the lookout for that. It's been great having you guys. It's been fun. You've been part of the IzzyVerse, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy, guys. Bye.